The Leadership for Learning program seeks to prepare visionary, effective leaders for K-12 educational systems through doctoral study leading to the educational doctorate and superintendent certificate. The program equips leaders to think creatively about pressing problems of practice, to transform educational systems to address issues of equity, justice, and opportunity, to design initiatives that address critical needs for young people, and to responsibly influence the improvement of teaching and learning.
Some of the attributes about the L4L program that I think are really important are, first of all, the program is grounded in a philosophy or a mission. And what immediately was interesting to me about the program was the focus on equity and social justice.
I think that the program has been very clearly tailored to the practicing administrator. I think that one of the things I will really say that is a unique feature is the authenticity that the L4L activities offer, in the sense that this is not simply make work. A lot of the work that we deal with is aimed at actually working out there in the field and trying to solve some of the real problems that we face.
Well, what actually drew me to the program here at the university was the fact that they had the cohort groups. And I've been a principal for a long time, and I wanted to have an opportunity to extend my own learning, but also be able to work with other professionals and have some dialogue. Being a principal can be pretty lonely, and it's a lot of hard work that we're doing nowadays, so I wanted to be able to be a part of a cohort group.
Leadership for Learning is in a very basic way because we have a crisis in leadership. We're seeing such tremendous turnover among leaders. We're seeing that it's challenging to attract people to leadership within the messiness and excitement of public education. But also because what we're trying to do is create a broad network of leaders that continue throughout their professional careers and lives to inform one another.
I mean, the first thing that we do in the first fall is, what is it that you're looking at? Mm-hmm. And the only way to examine that problem of practice is to identify what are the values that are undergird that. Mm-hmm. And of course, as we look across the cohort, we're finding that virtually all of them are finding dimensions of their problem of practice that is around equity of opportunity for kids learning, it's around access, it's around excellence for all in their school systems, it's around both adult learning and kids learning, and how the system melds together to make sure they're supporting that. The other is of course, it's that was the way it was built. It's constructed from a value framework. Ken made sure that was where the planning started for inquiry, was from a value dimension, committed to whose interests are being served in these systems that they are preparing to lead.
You know, we've really conceived of leadership preparation and professional development as a continuum of experiences here at the university. Most places that do principal preparation, for example, you do your program, it's maybe a year or a year and a half or 2 years, and then you're out the door and you're off into the job, and that's pretty much all the university has to say to you. Whatever your district might offer for professional development is sort of left to chance. What we've done here is we've thought about a continuum for folks who are thinking about the doctorate, can earn credit that would allow them to bring forward those credits into a doctoral program. And it's kind of the L4L experience is the end of the continuum, that for folks who want the terminal degree, they've got an opportunity with the same sort of core principles underneath it all, social justice, equity, excellence for all kids, to work through their teacher education, their principals preparation, out into the field for their early and later career professional development, and do the terminal degree with us.
One of the things that I've taken away from the work here is this idea of coherence. So how do you align your efforts, your resources, your time, the resources of time, people, money, effort? How do you align those for student learning?
So the L for L2 program has really helped me connect with what I do in my role at OSPI, which is around school improvement and high school improvement.
The theory of L for L has really shown up in the way I do business as a principal. I think it affects everything I do. I'm in classrooms at least half the day. I'm kind of actually ignoring bureaucratic things, don't tell my boss, but really thinking more about how can I work as a team with our staff to improve instruction for every kid.
In the Leadership for Learning program, context is everything. And it's easy to examine policy and theory and become disconnected from the real lives that people lead. And that means both in terms of children and families and communities, but also in terms of schools and what really happens in schools.
Rainier View has benefited by our connection with the School of Education at the University of Washington and with the L for L program there, because it's given us connections to other administrators and districts throughout Puget Sound, and connections with resources at the University of Washington that schools don't necessarily have on a regular basis.
So do you want to walk around? Okay, let's go. These are kindergarten and first grade classrooms down this way.
So a school like Rainier View provides a context where we can go in and look at what it is we really know about theory and policy.
Yes. The children at Rainier View represent 5 major languages. Somali is our largest language group. Then we also have Spanish-speaking students, Vietnamese, Cambodian, and Mien.
The vision statement by learning it and doing it better. Pesh, what do you think?
Is talk about what we saw in terms of how children seem to be connecting to each other and to the teacher.
A motivational framework for culturally responsive teaching
Is meant to serve as a guide to encourage innovative forms of instruction.
Well, Ask Me About is something that we practiced at Leadership for Learning Summer Institute.
We made name cards. Basically, our names were on one side, and on the other side we wrote Ask Me About, and everybody completed the sentence by mentioning something that they wanted other people to know about their lives. So there was a wonderful range. And then I practiced it with Cathy Thompson's folks at their institute, their initial Teacher Preparation Institute. And now as we're walking through this hall, here it is in a classroom door. Ask me about cars swimming. Ask me about pizza party. Ask me about toys. Ask me about the summer reading program.
It's amazing that an activity or a strategy can go from the doctoral level where it was totally appropriate to a second grade where it's equally appropriate.
That's exciting.
And you're creating inclusion across that whole range.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's important to me in the parents, how they involve and how they interest, because in back home they never involve the education their children, but they see the change, the difference, the change of the difference in the United States system and the back home. When they compare the family, they like it and they involve.
I think the home visits were probably the most powerful thing I've been a part of since I've been in the program. And the reason for that is, I mean, number one, we're supposed to be about social justice and equity, and what does that really mean? And where does the rubber hit the road? And where the rubber hits the road are the people that are living these problems, the people that have to deal with equity issues and racism on a day-to-day basis. And we can come to Miller Hall forever and read about it and talk about it and be just a group of intellectuals who then go back and talk about it some more and never really do a thing to really understand what's happening, or at least try to. And so for me, the home visits were an opportunity to actually step in, just for a minute at least, and bring the issues of social justice and equity to life. You know, I walked from the experience, headed to Cedar Valley Community School, which is similar, 75% free and reduced lunch. We were at Rainier View Elementary. I was probably 100% free and reduced lunch or close to that, and realized I'm going to be walking to a community that faces probably many of similar issues, and this school is very disconnected from its community, and wondering why it's so disconnected. And this experience this summer really made me think about how important it's going to be to fully understand, or not fully, attempt to understand our community and go to our community, talk to our community, be in the homes of our community, so we can really understand what it is. Why do their children feel disconnected from school? Why do they feel disconnected from school? What matters? How can we really help? I mean, if we're really going to close the gaps that we identify, really work with families to help their children, we've got to think about it differently. And this summer, I think, really brought that to light. And I think will really be powerful for my work at Cedar Valley.
There's a distinctive about being at this type of a university, that this is a research university now with a world-class reputation. So as this week's Economist indicates, in a survey of higher education, when you look at the top 20 universities in the world, the university appears in the top 20. So there are distinctives in our research agenda, in the knowledge generation, in the kinds of things that this place offers in terms of its intellectual capital that I think benefits what happens for our students.
If you were going to distinguish the sort of capstone experience from the typical PhD dissertation, that what we would hope our students accomplish in the capstone work, in their dissertation work, would be to have a problems of practice, sort of action-oriented kind of study that would be about knowing and acting on a problem in a context that has the potential at least to contribute to positive change for teachers and kids, for systems, for educational systems.
To be an effective leader today, you've got to be really smart. And you have to, the people who are going to help to make a difference are going to be leader scholars. And so when I think about the EDD, I'm thinking about people who are leader scholars. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's all you get.
That was good modeling.
Yeah, very nice. That is all you get for... Yeah, that's right. It's 10 seconds. That's all you're going to get to give us what's the center of your capstone project.
But what I'm really focusing on right now, and I'm very interested in, is relationships that are developed through home visits and how it impacts parent involvement for linguistically diverse students.
My particular project is that I'm looking at university and school district partnerships and seeing whether these particular partnerships actually assist the process of helping principals develop their instructional leadership skills.
My capstone is, how do you bring together this paraeducator group, look at our current skill set, and as a team determine how can we increase the instructional effectiveness of this paraeducator group.
Okay, so my capstone is going to focus on implementation of a public-private initiative focused on high school improvement. And we are really looking at how is it that we can support staff to build capacity to sustain that effort toward improvement over time.
I happen to have actually the copy of my dissertation here. I just got it not too long ago. Here it is with the title on the front. Superintendent Evaluation for Increased Organizational Performance, from Traits to Triangulation. And basically, what I was trying to do is construct a model for superintendent evaluation. And I was trying to infuse my personal theory of action for educational renewal, as well as develop then this full theory of action around superintendent evaluation. And so I wanted to walk away with a model that could be used across settings.
You know, the title of my capstone project was The Effects of a Structured School Improvement Planning Process on a School's Professional Learning Community.
Congratulations, Dr. Bruner.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kimball, Dr. Copeland. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So you have all this stuff happening in schools. What in the world do you do with it? How do you lead it? How do you even know what it is? And this program gives me a way to come and work with people and think about how do you go back to your context.
Because the program really focuses on social justice and equity and excellence, it ties in very closely to the work that we do. So the learning that I get either through coursework here or through reading of literature or through activities that I'm involved in, I've been able to take many of those things back to my schools.
It's interesting, in every leadership position I've been in, there is a very short poem that I always use because I think it really sums up environments that we need to create in education. And it really speaks to that issue of involvement, engagement, inclusion, networks, dialogue. And I want to share that poem. And it's a poem by Markham, and it goes like this. He drew a circle that shut me out, heretic rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that took him in. That poem to me really sums up the work that we're about in education and the work we need to do in education.